Alright, so this is just some ideas for some Halo modes or Halo Slayer variations. I got 50 of them that I've made. This is Halo, the original Halo. This is the anniversary version, however. So you have the Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary. You can make all of these. I'm sure you can make these modes as well in the other Halo variations or versions, but I have not played those, so at least in the multiplayer enough to know. But I was scouring the internet trying to find different ways to kind of enhance the multiplayer mode, and there wasn't really anything as much as far as maps are concerned or like Halo variations as to what you can do in the multiplayer. So I decided to take it among myself to make a crap ton of different modes that you can have fun with. So this is just a compilation of different ideas. Feel free to take and use any of these. Most of these are designed with just one-on-one, one versus one player in mind. However, some of them, in fact a lot of them, will work with a multitude of players. So if you have a bunch of players, I think you can do up to 16 in this game, so you can do like a huge match. A lot of these will work. Some of them will not work in that way, however, but you'll be able to figure out which ones do work with a large group and which ones don't. However, every single one of these will work one versus one. So let's check them out. Let's just list them off, and then I'll go through each one and basically how it's designed. So I made all these in Slayer. So you just go to Slayer mode, and whenever making a new mode, you want to have a default that you always go back to, so that way you know what you're changing. So you don't want to have the last mode that you just made as your default and changing it from there. You want to have it as a new set. So for example, if I was going to make a new mode right now, I would, my default is this, Classic Slayer Plus. You can just do Classic Slayer, whatever you want to do. So you just select your default, which is going to be Classic Slayer in this case, and then from there you'd go in and you'd start changing all the stuff. So that way you're starting from the same settings every single time you make a new mode. So whether you're creating your own or copying one of mine, it makes things so much easier. Also, it prevents you from accidentally saving over an old mode that you had. So if you just pick Classic Slayer or some another default mode and restart from there, if you accidentally save over it, it won't matter. So always start with the default when making a new mode. Just a piece of advice. So like I said, I got 50 of these bad boys. I'm just going to go down the list. They're all in alphabetical order. And so here we go. So we got the 5 built-in modes from Combat Evolved Anniversary. So that's Classic Slayer, Elite Slayer, SWAT Slayer, and Slayer Pro. I've only played Classic Slayer. These other modes seem to be very little in difference from all of these. So I haven't really played the other 4. But after getting bored with Classic Slayer, I figured make a bunch of modes. So there's a lot of different things you can play with, which this will hopefully not only give you some more modes to play with, but come up with some ideas of your own. So the first one is negative points, or minus points. Basically the one with the lowest point count wins. So in the game, the point system is when the person wins, it's going to be obviously the highest score. But essentially what you're going to do is just together is you're going to take the absolute value of your score, and that's the winner. So basically how that works is all these, you're just having fun. It's just a free-for-all, just kind of like Classic Slayer, but with a couple different mods. But you lose points for every kill that you make. So the person with the lowest score will win, even though in the game it'll tell you like, hey, the person A had -6, he won, versus player B who had -10, she lost. But technically player B would have won. So yeah, this this is just kind of a fun way to mess with the scoring system. There really isn't much as far as like extra stuff goes. It's just kind of a fun little thing for you guys to play around with. Next is Statio. So this one came up with, my friend and I were at the commissary, the grocery store, and we saw pistachios, but like a picture on the side showed this like guy with like these well-defined abs, and I was like, well, I guess pistachios give you abs, and she was like, yes, Statio. So that's how this game mode came up with. You start the game off as a loser, like a wimp, and then as time goes on, you gain abilities. So, really cool idea. Basically, when you're making default modes or making new modes, you're going to be going into 3 settings. So one is the options, so the game options, which is for the points, and then weapons and vehicles to kind of set those, and then general settings and base player, and then messing with all of these. Those are the most common things. Sometimes you'll go into leader traits, and sometimes you'll go into respawn settings, but for the most part, it's going to be those 3. So I'll just kind of go through these, and you can pause the video at any time to view all of these. But like I said, so for this one, it's going to be messing with the respawn settings. So base player traits are going to be like the Statio, or the powerful player. As I go through these, and you'll see how the stuff is increased. And then respawn settings, so when you die, you're going to respawn as a wimp, right? So you're a complete wimp. However, it doesn't last long. As you can see, the duration is only 15 seconds. You can, of course, edit that, and edit any of these modes, really. So, very fun to kind of mess around. Being the Statio, you feel pretty proud of yourself, kind of running around. But the thing with any respawn is that you're going to start the game off as the base player. Then as soon as you die, then you'll have the traits of the respawned. So a lot of these modes have basically like teams that are forced upon you, that change depending on if you die or live. So just keep in mind that every time you start at like the very, very beginning, everyone's going to have the base player abilities full to their choosing. Next is B-Rad mode. This is just a mode that I pretty much picked all my favorite stuff, all my favorite weapons, all my favorite grenades, all my favorite stats, essentially. So this is pretty much just a custom one for me, and that's pretty much all that one is. Boom mode. Boom mode is fun. This one is pretty asinine. We got the points as pretty normal. The weapons is a rocket launcher. The secondary weapons are completely random. And then everything else is pretty much unchanged, except for right here. We have infinite ammo, bottomless clip, and that's where this game gets really exciting. You have a rocket launcher plus a random weapon that everyone spawns with. So that is a ton of fun to mess around with. Boom mode is a ton of fun. So I think I've said that way too many times. Alright, bounty. So basically, if you are made of gold, you're worth more points. So basically, this is messing with the leader traits. So if you are a leader, you are worth more points when you die. If you're not a leader, you're just worth 1 point. But if you're a leader and you kill a leader, you gain more points, which I think it's 3. So that's really cool. So here's how the point system works. So you get 1 point for a kill, and then 2 points for killing a leader. So if you like let's say person A is leading, is in the lead, he's winning, and person B and C are just other players. If B and C kill each other, they just get 1 point. If B or C kills A, who's the leader, then either B or C will get 3 points until that person is no longer the leader. And then in order to kind of identify the person, if we go to leader traits, what I did was I changed the appearance. So the person's made of gold. So it's forcing their color to be gold, so then you can identify them very easily. Other than that, I didn't give them any like special traits, except for a shield multiplier by just a little bit. And then the base player is pretty much all the same. So a lot of fun. And then the force color is going to be normal, whatever color that they are, their player is. All right, next is boxing match. So this is a fun one. If you're in a relationship and you want to settle an argument, you can literally beat the hell out of each other. But instead of doing it in real life, because that's bad, you do it in this video game. And obviously this is not a fighting game, but I made it into one. So you get 2 points for pummeling. So this is how you kind of manipulate the score. So if you kill the person with a gun, because obviously you can't not give the person a gun or a weapon like a sword or a hammer or whatever, you don't want them to win by shooting. The point is to beat the heck out of the person. So you do that by getting -1 for a kill and then +2 for a pummel. Pummel is basically punching someone. So they'll lose a point for getting a kill, but they'll gain 2 points. So they'll be at 0, then -1, and then +2, so that'll give them just 1 point. So that's how you get 1 point for punches only. You'll see that come up in other modes. I give them plasma pistol because in the animation, that is one of the only guns that actually has a punch as the animation for the pummel or the punch. And all the other weapons you actually hit with the gun, which I didn't want to do. I wanted to be able to hit with fists, so that's why I chose plasma pistol. Another thing is I removed all weapons from the map, so you're only having a plasma pistol the whole time. And again, the point is not to use it, so it doesn't really matter. The other thing is I increased damage resistance a little bit, as well as give shields, just to give a little more extra punch, because if you're at default, it's only 3 punches and they die. This way you need, I think, 4 or 5 to be able to actually kill someone, so it takes a little bit more. Recharge rate's all the same. Weapons, so damage modifier, I wanted to, again, edit so the gun does barely anything, but their punches are the part that matters. So editing that, doing some math, calculated for 25% for the actual damage, but it's 300% for the melee modifier. Even though we don't really edit their health, this works out because the damage modifier affects the melee modifier. So it works out to about 4 to 5 punches to be able to kill an opponent, which that's my goal, is the number of punches it takes to kill someone. And everyone's even. Oh yeah, and everyone's color is red, just because red pisses people off, and everyone looks angry. Next is Ceasefire. So basically every other kill gains points except for with a gun. So the goal is not to use a gun. The goal is to kill with other methods. So splattering someone, sticking someone, punching someone, anything along those lines. My other controller just disconnected. There we go. Alright, so with that, here's how the point system works. So this kind of is the point system. So we got all these other ways to gain points, but you don't get any points for killing someone with a gun, or any extra points for headshots or anything. So of course the goal is to ceasefire, but there's a little more options than just to beat the heck out of someone. I have the secondary weapon as random because it may or may not help you with this challenge of ceasefiring. So maybe you can lower someone's health a little bit and then punch them once, you know. So it leaves it open for some strats to be able to be developed. So I'll go through some of the settings. So a lot of math was involved in this stuff. A lot of fun though. I had a lot of fun making these. Alright, so Classic Slayer Plus is literally just Classic Slayer, just some extra things added. So I played Halo Combat Evolved from the original, and I just remember some things from that I wanted to keep. So it's just Classic Slayer, but with a couple extra changes. Like I think I just changed the guns that you spawn with, and like I changed the amount of grenades you get, and like enhanced radar. Like it's very simple changes from Classic Slayer. Next is Deer Hunt. Deer Hunt's a lot of fun, especially doing it on the Ridgeline map. Ridgeline, it's a lot of fun doing it there. Basically, you just have a shotgun. So here's the point system. So you get an extra point for extra points for punching someone because they have a shotgun. So approaching someone is definitely a lot more risky. I feel like we should reward them for that. You need 20 points to win. So yeah, you just get a shotgun and then nothing else on the map. That's all you get. No shields, no health recharging because you're a deer. Since it's hunting, I'll give you frags, but you also get camo, which is really nice. So, get it? Yeah, camo. Alright. Oh yeah, movement. A little bit faster, enhanced radar. And that's it. So deer hunt's really fun. Get to hunt some deer, aka your opponents. Demolition Derby. So Demolition Derby is basically splatter kills only. Splatter kills are a lot of fun. They're really hard to get though, so you only need 3 points to win. And here's how you do all that. It's just splatter is the only way to get a point. This took me a while to kind of figure out because it was so hard. You get rocket launcher to flip someone out of a vehicle if you don't gain any points from killing someone with a rocket launcher. And so it's not very advantageous to shoot somebody with a rocket launcher, but it might be to knock them out of a vehicle because if they're both in a vehicle, you can't get a splatter. So using that to knock them out of the vehicle, it's a risky thing because if you kill them, then you don't gain any points from it, so it's pointless. So getting damage ratios right was the hardest part about this one, so that way they get hit and they die, because that's kind of the point. So most of the time when you run over someone, they will die. Sometimes though, if you're not going fast enough, they won't die, which that was one of the hardest problems, is that they would be 0 health and you hit them like 3 times and they just would not die. But I figured everything out, and so this one's pretty set. So Demolition Derby is a ton of fun. You're running into people with trucks and like the warthogs and the ghosts and all that kind of stuff, and obviously you want to do it on a map with vehicles. Next is Don't Win. It's not necessarily that you don't want to lose, so you don't want to win. So the way that this works is that the point system, you only need 5 points to win, which again, you don't want to win. Here's how it works. So you get a kill, you minus 1 point. So everyone starts at 0, you kill someone, you go back further away from that positive 5 points to win. But when you die, you gain a point. So if person A kills person B 5 times, then person B will lose. I mean, it'll say game over, congratulations player B, but again, this is not the purpose of this mode. So the goal is to stay away from 5 as much as possible. So you want to stay away from that number. So that's how the points are reversed. Really interesting because it's a lot more dramatic, because you're like, oh man, I have 3 points. Like if I die 2 more times, like game over. Very similar to minus points, but with a little more drama. All right, next is Elite. You can probably figure out what this one is. You're an elite. Points are pretty standard, except sticky. You're an elite running around. You can change this to a sword if you want, plasma sword. So you get to play as an elite essentially, even though your character looks like a soldier or Master Chief. Alright, force color is blue. So that is elite, pretty straightforward. Okay. This one is pretty funny. I made the characters as useless as possible, but everyone's useless. Like, all the time, no matter what you do, you don't gain anything from like getting a lot of kills or being a leader or respawning or nothing. You're just weak the whole time. So I give this the two weakest weapons in the game. There's not a lot of stuff you can do. It's not necessarily boring, but it's a test of skill. So the person I play with all the time, she's really good at this game, and I'm pretty good at this game too, but she's definitely a lot better. So it's a lot of fun for us to play together because we're pretty skilled at this. So kind of give ourselves handicap is the fun aspect for us. Next is fast game. Fast game is pretty much just rocket launchers, and its damage resistance is like nothing. So you have no resistance to damage. So even if you like are far off from hitting your target, the person still dies. So that's the goal. Is the game literally to be fast. So I give 2 rocket launchers, only rockets on the map, and where it comes to fast is right here. No shields, no recharging on the health, and 10% damage resistance. So it's pretty silly, and then of course the damage is just maxed out. So it's a lot of fun to play. Obviously your movement's sped up so you can find your opponents. So if you want to say, hey, you want to play a quick game or a fast game, go ahead. You have a mode right there, fast game. Alright, next is God mode. So here you die as a warrior and come back as a god. So this is messing with the respawn settings. So essentially, the points are 200 to win, but everything is like a lot of points. You, as a god, so you're going to come back as like the god. As a warrior, you're running around, you're a normal human. So I think that's going to be base player traits. So everyone starts out as normal. Pretty standard stuff. You get a jetpack that you can't use when you first start because only gods can fly around. You're going to be green because I want to differentiate between a normal character and a warrior, which, you know, we wear green. And then when you respawn, you get 30 seconds of being a god. So invulnerable to almost all damage, 4 times over shield, like just completely, just absurdly amount of power. You get only for 30 seconds. So the best thing to do is run away from the god, and you now gain the ability to use your jetpack infinitely, so you can fly. They can fly around, and then your force color would be white. I mean, that makes sense. So, a ton of fun. You can obviously mess with the duration. I thought 15 seconds was too short. 30 seconds, I wish it was like 20, 25, but 30 seconds works. When my partner and I play, we make it work. It's a ton of fun. It's not dumb at all. You're like, oh, come on, just hurry up. It doesn't seem like much time as a god at all. It seems like the perfect amount of time. Alright, so next we have grunt mode. Basically just you're a grunt. So you have the plasma, or not the, what's that weapon called? Plasma pistol, yeah, plasma pistol, and a needler. And of course you're getting a couple grenades, maybe. But you play as a grunt. Yeah, you get 4 plasma grenades. Your melee is a little weaker. So, and then your force color is brown, because it's kind of the color of a grunt. Alright, next is handicap. So if you're a leader, if you're winning, you get less points. So handicap, there's that. Weapons, you get 2 energy swords. And base player strats, or base player traits. So if you're a leader, you get disadvantaged. So you lose the ability to, you lose your weapons, the cool weapons, right? You can't, you get at least some equipment. So it's not completely like garbage, you don't completely become useless, but it does give you, the leader, a massive handicap. So if you have someone who's, and then brown because they're a turd for winning all the time. So if you're playing with someone who's really good, then you can give them a handicap for being so good if they're winning. Kind of fun. I enjoy that one a lot, especially considering that, again, the person I play with, she always kicks my butt. Not always, but a lot of times she does. So that one's kind of fun. Hannah mode, this is the person I play with frequently. It's kind of like B-Rad mode. It's just her favorite guns and traits and all that stuff. Headache. Headache is fun. So only headshots get points. So you need five to win. Because it's a lot harder to get a headshot. Headshot's the only point gainer. You get a sniper rifle and a magnum. And then only human snipers are on the map. And then mongooses is the only vehicle. This one's pretty fun. This is actually one of my more recent modes that I made, and I'm pretty happy with it. Because at this point, I've been in the settings a lot, so I know all the stuff that you can do. So yeah, a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to make. All right, next is High AF. This one is just complete randomness. Everything is random. The points are random. The way you gain points is just ridiculous. Just everything is just not as expected. Whoops. Base player, you have just, when you play this and you forget, just go into the settings and just randomly do crap. Like, I have all the weapons and stuff random, like anything that has a random option, make them random, but then go in and just mess with the settings and then forget what settings you did, and then do respawn settings as something completely different from what you originally had, and just watch the chaos ensue. You'll feel high playing this. I've never been high, but it's definitely, this is how I feel it would be. Just a bunch of random crap going on, and you don't know what the heck is happening, and you're like, why is this happening? Whether or not that's the experience people have, I have no clue. But that's the stereotype, I guess. Alright, next is Holy Commode. This is pretty much boom mode, just even more insane. So points are pretty standard. You get a fuel rod gun because with a bottomless clip, and it's just complete chaos for a fun time. All right. Hugs is cute. So basically this is for getting close to your opponent, is the idea. So no extra points for anything. The goals is obviously weapons that get you close to your opponent. So you're going to be very close to your opponent the whole match, and that's why it's called hugs. All right. Hunters. Okay, now you're playing as a hunter. So we had Elite, we had Grunt, and now we have Hunter. So pretty cool. Rockets. So I basically designed the character as close to a hunter as possible. and I made them green. Next is invisible. So this one's interesting because originally I designed it so I was like, all right, so the character, I want a mode where the character is completely invisible. All right, like the highest amount of invisibility possible with a gun that's useless against someone who's invisible. So normally the needler is heat-seeking, so it would follow your opponent, but while your opponent's invisible, it doesn't work. So I guess it's not heat-seeking, but maybe you're cold while you're invisible. Either way, that was the idea behind it. However, it was too good. So you have your motion tracker off, so you literally have no idea where anyone is. Everyone's invisible. Also, with the needler, you can kind of track someone when they shoot, so that's the only way you're gonna be able to like see someone. This turned out to be very difficult to play with two skilled players like Hannah and I. We were struggling to even get like a kill. Now, given that's 1 versus 1, if you had multiple people playing, it might be easier. But it forces you to kind of slow down and slow your movements down. So at the same time, I don't know. So what we just thought of is that this is a mode that you're allowed to screen peek on, because normally screen peeking is not allowed. It's kind of that forbidden thing. When you catch yourself doing it, it's like, oh crap, I can't be doing that. Or when other players catch you doing that, it's like, hey, stop doing that, you know. But in this mode, you are allowed to screen peek. So that is what makes this mode really interesting, is that screen peeking is allowed. And even though you might think, oh, well, that just defeats the purpose, it still makes it really hard. You only know the general location of where your opponent is, not necessarily where their exact body is. And if you're looking at the bottom screen while you're trying to shoot them, that doesn't work very well. So this works out, especially for bigger maps, like huge maps, 1 versus 1, like holy crap, like you have no idea. So this one, you're allowed to do screen peeking on this one. Or you don't have to allow that. I mean, it's house rules, whatever you want. Next is jetpack mode. It's just basically you use a jetpack, float around all the time. It's pretty fun. Hannah really liked the jetpack, so it was pretty much Hannah mode before Hannah mode, because I didn't even think about, like, you know, well, why don't I just do the best things, you know, what are your favorite things? So I kind of just guessed at what her favorite things were, and I got pretty close, but once I made Hannah mode, I kind of changed up jetpack mode. Next is Jumplists. So Jumplists is you get punished for dying. Oh no, that's a different mode, my bad. This one's it just takes away a bunch of stuff, so everyone's at a disadvantage. My bad. So point system's normal, weapons are pretty standard, but base player traits, I start reducing a lot of your normal stuff that you'd expect and want or have, and I basically handicap everyone. So that's Jumplists. Obviously you can't jump in this game, but a few other things are also removed that you'd normally rely on. So it's kind of just handicap everyone. Alright, next is Kung Fu Hustle. If you've ever seen this movie, it's a pretty good movie. So Kung Fu Hustle, there's a scene in the movie where the landlord lady starts chasing the main character with a knife in his shoulder. It was really funny. I pretty much recreated that scene from that movie in Halo. So it was inspired by us running really fast, so we had a mode where we were just like absolutely sprinting at like the maximum speed at which you sprint, and we were punching each other while we're doing that. And so this is the main thing right here. Player speed is 300%. So that's how that was inspired. When you actually play it, I promise you, it will. If you've seen this movie and that scene, I promise you, it feels exactly like you are in that scene of the movie. It's so much fun. Next is laser tag. You can probably guess what this is. You have to be good at aiming in order to be good at this. Score is a little less to be able to win, just because it's harder to actually get a final kill since it's only lasers. So you can probably guess focus rifle and Spartan laser are the weapons. No other weapons are available on the map, and everything else is standard. You get one frag grenade, that's it. You notice a lot of these modes have a waypoint. Again, it's just Han and I playing this. We don't really have other people playing this game just because all of our friends don't really care, which is fine. But if you normally have a lot of people playing with you, you don't necessarily have to do the waypoint, just because we want to be able to find each other faster instead of trying to find the other player like half the time on the map is kind of gets boring. So that's why we have a lot of waypoints. All right, make it rain. We're gonna make it rain with grenades. So I had a mode called grenade mode, and that was like one of the very first modes I made. It was garbage. I got rid of it, and then I made this one. Like, this is actually one of my more recent modes that I made, and I just basically improved upon my original grenade mode, and then called it Make It Rain, because that's essentially all it is just grenades the whole time. So a lot of fun. I love grenades. I'm really good at sticking, so I thought it would be really fun. All right, next is ninja mode. So the only way to win is assassinations. You get only 3 points needed to win. Assassination is the only way to win. It's a lot more fun than you'd expect. You can get swords on the map because you can assassinate with swords, and then you get a primary weapon of just a magnum because the animation of the assassination is really cool with the magnum. And show some other stuff. Immune assassination, obviously I want you not to be immune to that. Melee modifier is like nothing. I can't have it 0 because you cannot assassinate, because I don't want you to punch someone and then them die, because that's kind of dumb, because you're trying to stab them and you punch them and they die. It's like, well, crap. Especially when you actually find each other. You obviously have evade as a starting equipment instead of invisible, just because you want to be able to get to your opponent's back, because you don't need to necessarily sneak up on them to assassinate them. You just need to get behind them. So it's a lot of fun, even when you're like, even when you find each other and you're like, oh crap, and you're like trying to stab each other in the back. It gets pretty hilarious as you try to like, oh god dang it. And if the person just faces a wall, you just face them and just keep pummeling them until they die, and then they'll respawn. So even having some power to punch them it's helpful, because they can just put their back against the wall, but you can just still beat them and kill them, so then they respawn somewhere else. So, One Punch Man. If you've ever seen this anime, really good anime. Hannah and I just finished watching the whole thing. We bought the DVD and we watched it on this TV, and it was a lot of fun. Super cool anime. I decided to make a mode based off of it. This is actually my most recent mode. I just finished it today. It was broken when I originally made it, and so I took a couple day break and came back to it, and I fixed it. So it is now fixed. Pretty complicated. There's a couple modes in here that are just super complex. This is one of them, which hence why it was broken. But now it's not glitched anymore, and it's good. So your base player's traits are going to be your One Punch Man traits. So you're going to have all of these settings to be One Punch Man. Just trust me, it works. It's as expected, because there's basically a 4-way fight, even with a 1 versus 1. It's One Punch Man versus a One Punch Man, a One Punch Man versus a normal player versus a One Punch Man, and then a normal player versus a normal player. So when you die, you're going to respawn as a normal player. And then as time goes on, specifically 60 seconds, so a minute goes by, you become One Punch Man. You've trained enough. You've done your 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 pull-ups, and you are now One Punch Man. But until then, you're normal. You're very normal. And again, you saw the scoring system. I only want punches to count as hits. And all these work. Normal characters are red, and then One Punch Man is yellow because that's like his costume color, or gold in this case because there's no yellow. This one's pretty fun because again, all these traits are to make it as close to the anime as possible, as well as you fighting a normal character. So if you have multiple people playing, not just one versus one, you can kill other normal players, and it feels like, okay, I just killed a normal person in the game, versus trying to get a One Punch Man. You can still do it. I give the base player a good enough advantage, but without giving them an advantage, if that makes sense. If you just do the settings, it all works out, and when you play it, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Alright, next is 1 to win. You only need 1 point to win. 1 point to win. However, because of this, yeah, don't kill yourself. It becomes very difficult. You have the worst weapons, and except on the map, so you don't spawn with the worst weapon. You spawn with the worst weapons, but on the map you can pick up a bunch of crap. And I just make the players just ridiculously strong. Like, it takes effort to kill someone. Your punches are a little stronger, just because, again, the person has a freaking mass destruction weapons, so like hammers and rocket launchers and crap. You have a couple grenades, and obviously you're not going to respawn with more grenades, but you can always pick them up. And yeah, it's pretty hilarious. It takes a good like 5 minutes just to get one kill, but you only need one to win, so that makes sense. Next is one shot. One shot is pretty much just, you have a pistol, and that pistol is the most powerful pistol in the world, and you just shoot someone anywhere and they die. 15 points to win. This is one of our favorite modes. We love this one a lot. No other weapons, it's just that one weapon, and it's one of the main reason why we love this mode so much is because it is very dramatic, and it's like your heart rate just goes up, because you're like, oh my gosh, like, it only takes one shot to kill me. It's super fast, super small, and you're just going around corners. You have no idea like where the other person's at. So it's pretty fun. Definitely one of our favorites. Pins and needles. You can probably guess what this one is. It's needlers galore. Having a lot of fun with this one. It's Hannah's favorite weapon. This is the needler, so I decided to make a mode of just needles. Pretty self-explanatory. Plasma party. It's like sticky situation, which we haven't gone over yet, but when we get there, you'll understand that reference. But it's pretty much just plasma grenades. Just have fun. It's basically sticky situation, just with more explosions and more craziness. And sticky situation is a mode that's already full of craziness. So this one's a ton of fun, for sure. We still prefer, ironically, Sticky Situation over this one. In fact, Sticky Situation's on our top 3 of favorite modes that I've made. But that one's just with a little more explosions, I guess you can say. Next is Respawn Hell. Excuse me. So respawn hell, pretty good. You don't want to die. I'll just say that you don't want to die. So obviously base player traits. You're just a normal human being running around. Not too exciting. But where it gets exciting is the respawn. So for 15 seconds you are just completely just, oh my gosh, when you die, you just feel it. You feel the hurt in your soul. It really, I love making modes that make you feel strong emotions. Those are definitely some of my personal favorites. Hannah doesn't like this one very much because she wants more time to kill me. But I appreciate this mode a lot, just because I like eliciting those emotions. All right. Skill zone. You have to be skilled at Halo to get any points in this mode. Really cool how it's set up. Basically the Spartan laser and the grenade launcher, and that's pretty much all you have. You have a couple grenades too, but it's literally just all skill wins. Alright, next is Sniper. Sniper is just a sniper mode. Long distance shots are the only ones that actually work. So here's how the point system is. Obviously, headshots are cool. We want headshots. But you can't kill any other way. That's not a very good idea. -5 points. So long distance shots are the only way to kill someone. So it's like a sniper mode, but with a little more risk, a little more excitement, and kind of forces the opponents to use their sniper. So they can't just run up to you from behind and kill you. Encourages sniper use. Alright, next is Space Cowboy versus Indians. So this one's another really complicated mode, so kind of follow along here. This is actually Hannah's idea, but I made it into reality. She just gave me the idea, and I was like, alright, I can run with that. So basically the cowboy, or the Indian is like this, like powerful. They have the, we call it a Warhammer, but the battle hammer, running around. This is the Indian's traits that you're looking at right now. They're faster, but they only have the melee weapon. Versus the leader, which whoever's leading is going to be the cowboy. So they have actual long-range weapons. Given not the best ones, but it's still better than having some type of long range. So it works out to where both the Indians and the Cowboys are pretty equal in terms of their abilities. And you can differentiate between them by the color of their suit. So, really cool idea. I like the concept because the little gun, I don't remember what it's called, but the little tiny machine gun looking thing, reminded us of being a cowboy, like a space cowboy, so that's how that mode came to be. Alright, next is speedrun. In 3, 2, 1, go. I'm speedrunner, so I made a mode on speedrunning, and I pretty much made it so pretty much any speedrunning strat that I could like throw in here. So any cool speedrunning techniques of classic speedrunning games. So evade, you have unlimited evade, you know, just various things that you can kind of glitch and do clips and stuff. And I made it basically the easiest way to break the game. Really fun, for me at least. Sticky situation. Alright, I hyped this one up enough. Let's figure this out. So you don't lose any points for anything. except you gain a point for sticking someone. So that is it. You have a concussion rifle and then nothing else, except for plasma grenades. This one is fun as heck. Basically, I make you super weak, so if you die next to explosion, that sucks. But again, your opponent doesn't lose anything, you don't lose anything. It's all good. But sticking your opponent is the only way to win, so that's the only way to get a point. So it's a ton of fun. You only have 4 plasma grenades, however. So that's why I give you the concussion rifle, because once you run out of grenades, you just point at the floor, you kill yourself. You respawn somewhere else with 4 plasma grenades. We love this mode. Like I said, top 3 favorite modes that both of us agreed. It's in both of our top 3s. So that one's just a ton of fun, especially if you have 2 very skilled players. It's a party. It really is. It's a plasma party. So, suicide mission. So this is kind of a gamble. You can either kill yourself 10 times or kill your opponent 4 times. So, however you want to do that. I make it very difficult to kill yourself. So it's a gamble. I mean, you can't just point stuff at the floor. You get 1 frag grenade. Oops, I should probably show you this stuff. You get 1 frag grenade, so you can use that to kill yourself, but your weapons and the weapons on the map as well are pretty useless. So if you screw up with your frag grenade, that's it. You're gonna have to get a kill. But again, you can win faster if you just kill your opponents. Alright, next is sword fight. It's as you'd expect. It's swords. You fight with swords. Wow, a lot of fun. Definitely in our top 5 games to play. Tactical approach. So this is for you hunters out there. You'll like deer hunt probably too, but you might also like this. Anyone in the military would like this mode. It's pretty much tactical kills are what gain points. So it basically encourages tactical like strategies the best it can. It's pretty cool. I enjoy playing it. Alright, we are almost down to the bottom. Target. So, if you're in the lead, you have a target on your back. So, the lead player is another way to kind of handicap the leader. So, a base player is pretty unchanged. However, and then they're all invisible. And then the leader is pretty much just like the base player, but instead they have a waypoint, they're completely visible, and they have a color that sticks out. So yeah, if you're in the lead, you have a giant target on your back, and everyone else is invisible, but poorly, so no screen peeking. Alright, top doggo, you actually get a handicap for losing in this case. So if you're winning, if you're in the lead, you get extra perks. So it's really cool. So this is base player. The person who's the people who are losing are going to look like this. And then the winner, or the leading player, is going to have the advantages. They're going to have the perks and the cool stuff, and it gets pretty fun. I don't give them... I mean, they get an advantage, obviously, because they're top dog. They deserve all that fun stuff. But it's not overly so much advantageously that, it's not worth, the other player. Unless the other player is really, really bad. Warhammer, yeah, Battle of the Hams. So you probably can guess what this is. It's the Battle Hammer mode. I've decreased gravity, so you can do a cool trick in this mode. It's called ham flying or hammer flying. Hannah actually figured out this strat. You can basically point your hammer to the ground, jump, and then fire the hammer multiple times. So just keep like hitting the right trigger button, and you continuously you stay in the air. You can gain height with it. It's pretty cool. Where Is You? Where Is You is another game to not know where your opponent's at. So you have the normal points, you have those weapons, and pretty much anything that makes it so you can find your opponent is removed. Except for camo. I don't make them like invisible or anything. That's already a mode. But I do remove all sensors and whatnot so you can't track them. But you do have active camo, but it's as an ability. So you only have temporary use of that said item. And we're almost done. Very exciting. XRay Vision. So this is pretty much the invisible mode that I wanted to have an idea of make. So without the screen peeking, without the cheating, allowing for the cheating, this is that mode. So you can basically see through your opponent and see through walls and stuff. Really, really fun concept. So it's basically invisible without the screen peeking, but with some extra stuff. I prefer X-ray over invisible, but because we have that, and this is the key right here, good camo, but you have a waypoint. So I prefer X-ray Vision to invisible, but with invisible, every once in a while we like to play it so we can screen peek. And then lastly, it's Zombobs. We have the zombie mode, and there's an infection. This is probably my most complex mode. So let's see if I can get this right and show everything that it is. 15 points to win. It's basically infection. So if you've ever played infection, it's in this game. That's the point system. I'll kind of show that off real quick right here. So infection. If you've ever played this, it's basically that, but in Slayer. Because we really like playing infection, but there's a couple things we wanted to be able to do, and so I made infection in Slayer, which doing that you would think is pretty easy because it's right there, but it is not easy. This one took me the longest amount of time to make. It is definitely my most complex mode. So, base player. Is the zombie. There you go, force color zombie. And then I believe it's leader. This one gets pretty crazy when actually doing it in the game, because some of the traits will activate while others won't. So it's not 100% perfect by any means, but it does work enough to where once you play it once or twice, you're like, okay, I kind of understand how this works. You know what the points have to be before I'm 100% zombie or 100% human. Sometimes you'll be, depending on who makes what kill which times, it'll be like 90 10. So there are a little bit of bugs in there because it's so complex, but that's just the way it is. So anyways, that is it. That is all the modes that I have. That's 50 modes for you to come up with your own ideas, play around with. I hope you guys enjoyed all those examples.